Welcome, all you splatter fiends, skullhounds, and scabies. It's murder ball time. Hope those of you in the front row made sure to bring your extra good clothes, as there's gonna be blood all over these catwalks as the Rad Habit Renegades take on the Sump City Rat Catchers for the first game of the season.
And it's bound to be a bloodbath, Gabo, as Mystique Molly, former skull trapper of the Rat Catchers, takes on her old teammates for the first time. Having placed high in the personal leaderboards last season with 6 personal kills, unheard of for a trapper, Molly earned her place as captain and trapper of the Cordius Plutonium's team, the newest addition to the professional league.
And remember, folks, bring any teeth that get knocked out to me. I'm working on a special project. Every tooth gets you a free coupon to Rosie's Rucka Truck Taqueria and Mezcaleria.
Does anyone know how to get skull bits out of linoleum? The mop servitor keeps getting hung up on them. I kind of feel like lining the murder ball court with linoleum was a mistake.
Hey, you can bring me those skull bits too. I could always find a use for
That's
it.
fair. You can pry them out.
Upcycling.
I'll be happy. Yeah.
Bringing you all the action, the play-by-plays, and the highlights from right above the Ripper Doc's body pit. We are 665.66 UHMR Chemrat Radio. As always, I am your wild-eyed plasma fiend Goblin King. My co-hosts, ringside for all the bone-crushing and blood-splattering action, it's the Scream Queen, Emmy.
Hello, and welcome.
Here to break down exactly which bone it is we can hear crumpin', it's our very own archaeotech savant, Chac.
Ooh, that one just sounded like a femur.
Oh my God. And our very own expert in how to remove those deep red wine stains, it's our exsanguinator, Drew.
Well-known fact, the four-armed emperor's blood is more of like a Merlot.
Ah. It's not like a Cabernet Sauvignon.
No,
Is it like a heady blend? Is it some woodsy notes?
Yeah. Powerful aroma. Like,
Ooh,
yeah.
good.
Yeah, it's best paired with seafood.
Remember, use hydrogen peroxide to get those blood spatters out of your Sunday murder ball basket.
Well, guys, if you are interested in getting some exclusive Patreon-only content, as well as seeing a video version of the podcast, I suggest you head on over to patreon.com/Under the Hive of Madness right now and sign on up. We do about an hour show of extra Patreon content every week, and then you also get access to a video version of the podcast you're listening to right now. And before we jump into the podcast, we have not had mandatory podcast fuck around time in quite a bit. But if I may, Chac, one of the items created by my players in one of my first D&D 3.5 games, actually it was in my first D&D 3rd edition game, back when I still worked for Wizards, was the Blasphemer of Much Smutching. It was a human's femur that had a raptor's claw attached to the top of it. And it became a magic item because of how long it was carried. And it has found its way into my fantasy world as an epic legendary weapon. Is the Blasphemer of Much Smutching. It does extra damage to demons.
Yeah, but have you ever watched someone break a femur?
Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Yes.
Yeah, it's...
I have. Well, I haven't watched. I had right after 9/11, we were, when they had the really heightened security at the airports with National Guard, with, automatic weapons and all. We were skiing in Sun Valley, and I had a friend go off trail and break his femur.
Yep, that's exactly where I watched this go down to, was on a ski hill.
Going through airport security after he got his leg fixed and had a pin in it, they're like, you're going to have to walk through the metal detector. And he's like, I just broke my femur. I'm in a wheelchair. They're like, you have to get up and walk.
Yep.
What the fuck?
The backscatter machines have gotten better, by the way, because the fragments in my hip are no longer, well, they're detected, but it tells them that they're fragments.
That's...
Meanwhile, I have to get patted down every time that I wear a pair of cargo pants because of the extra material in the pockets.
Yep. Cargo pants. Cargo pants do not like backscatter machines.
Okay, I used to duct tape Yu-Gi-Oh card sleeves full of weed to my body and walk through a metal detector.
The metal detector's fine. It's the new ones.
There's so many levels to that.
I know, but that's what I used to do is duct tape Yu-Gi-Oh card sleeves full of weed, about 3.5 grams, fit in a standard Yu-Gi-Oh size card sleeve, by the way. You just duct tape them to the inside of your thigh, and you walk through the metal detector. And now that we have to do this, like, freedom pose, well, some fucking TSA agent does this. Freedom ain't free anymore.
My 95-year-old grandmother does not trust or use credit cards. So when she travels with cash, and she's afraid of thieves. So she sews it into her clothes, which means she has to go in for special screening every time because it looks like packets of something.
Bold.
Explosives, drugs, whatever.
I mean, that's literally how narcos used to sneak money into the country, was they would sew it into people's clothes.
I will never forget, too, the time that a TSA agent, this was like 15 years ago now, pulled a pipe. I forgot that I had like my pipe in my purse.
Oh, God. Oops.
He pulls it out and he's like, "What's this?"
Those are my art supplies.
I was like, "It's a dog whistle." And I started blowing through it. And he was like, "Yeah, I can't hear anything." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's right. Because it's a dog whistle. It's at a frequency that you can't hear, man." And he was like, "Yeah, it sure worked." He was like, "Okay, have a good day."
You know what? I bet you that's literally one of those things where the dude in the back of his head is like, just give me plausible deniability. I don't want to do paperwork.
Exactly.
And then you gave him plausible deniability.
I did. So use that if they find your like piece in your bag and you forget it's there. So
well, this is episode now that we've contributed to the delinquency of minors, this is episode 113.
No minors. If you are a minor, go home.
If you're listening,
go watch Miss Rachel.
Drake's house. Don't go to Drake's house.
Don't go to Drake's house. Go watch Bluey and go home.
Our podcast is
I just have to say this. I'm sorry. I just have to say, so I participated in a study about security at airports for an unnamed private firm.
Okay.
Let's call it an unnamed private firm.
It was Drake, wasn't it?
And it was about... I think I've said too much already. I'm trying to think what my NDA says.
like, what am I not allowed to say in this?
Let's just say that just because you're not supposed to be able to bring weapons past the security sensors, doesn't mean there aren't a fair number of improvised things on the other side.
It's also really easy to just get the stuff through the metal detectors. But
I know, but that wasn't part of this. That wasn't
the study.
Okay. Okay. Maybe we could edit this portion out. I think I've literally said too much.
It's now staying in. What is that George Carlin quote? I can strangle a flight attendant. If I'm really lucky, if I catch them in that little area where they prepare the food, I can strangle 2 of them.
It's let's just say that certain companies like to hire anthropologists.
There you go. All right, guys. Well, this is episode 113, the Horus Heresy War Never Changes, Part 3. As we've done with the last couple of episodes, and as we'll do with our 4th episode in the War Never Changes series, we are covering kind of the middle years of the Horus Heresy. Unfortunately, the Horus Heresy is not going to, the middle years are not going to wrap up with a keystone event, or at least not a really nice keystone event that falls at like a very logical demarcation point.
No.
So we're going to do a 4th episode, and then just like we did after we did our first little series where we got up to the Ruin Storm, we're going to take a break. We're going to go over a couple of other little pieces of lore. We're just going to kind of like reset ourselves. We'll do a creative writing episode. We'll do a Planet Spotlight episode. We'll do some fun stuff, and then we will jump right back into the Horus Heresy. Our roadmap moving forward is after the Horus Heresy, we will be doing an Imperium faction. We are not ready to release which one we're doing yet, but quite soon after that, we are going to be looking at another chunk of historical time in the Warhammer 40k universe. And as we get closer, we will make an announcement as to which one it is. But I'll let you know. It's there at the beginning. That's it. That's your tease. It's at the beginning. So, it's we're going to be looking at Noah's Ark. This is that's the big reveal. The next one is Noah. No, anyway, as we get closer, we will let you guys know a little bit more about that. But if you guys are ready, I'm ready. Let's jump right into the Thramas Crusade of 007 to 009 of M31.
Yeah,
they just couldn't call it the Trauma Crusade.
I mean, this is the Trauma Crusade.
Oh God, I see Konrad Kurz in the first sentence.
It's Cruz, as in no. I'm kidding. I always want to say Cruz, and I have to tell you, it's Cruz. It's Cruz. It's not Cruz. War Master Horus sent Konrad Kurz of the Night Lords to the eastern fringe of the Imperium, where the Night Lords then undertook a campaign of terror and genocide. This effort was to distract the Dark Angels from Horus's push on towards Terra. The Loyalists in the region were led by the trio of Forge Worlds at Triplex, and were ill-placed to oppose the Night Lords' coming rampage. The Night Lords' objectives were much deeper than just slaughter and distraction, and this included orders from Horus to capture Triplex itself, which was supplying weapons to Rogel Dorn's forces. The Night Lords also intended to find a new homeworld on the Eastern Fringe after their destruction of their own planet of Nostromo. And we will get into why Konrad destroyed his own homeworld later when we talk about him in his pretty little face-wearing Primarch level. The Night Lords and Faces on Faces. The traitor forces first struck the region known as the Tithe Road, a chain of planets that linked the Nostromo sector to the Thramas sector. This region had long been haunted by the terrors of the Night Lords, who had historically demanded tributes, including initiates, in exchange for their continued protection. They first fell upon the world of Sigolsa, demanding the entire population be recruited as Legion thralls. However, they were refused, and the Night Lords slaughtered almost the entire population, herding any survivors they found into things called flaying pits because,
That's
fun.
Pleasant.
They only let a few hundred escape to spread the word of the coming terror. They then set about erecting a new citadel for Konrad Kurz and began to send out small war bands to neighboring worlds. Refugees then flooded into the Thramas sector and the Gul'Garand Protectorate, spreading tales of terror and bloodshed and facing little resistance. Traitor commanders such as Nakrid Thol easily took half of the Thramas sector this way. Meanwhile, First Captain Sevatar of the Night Lords continued to the Triplex sector with 4 full chapters and set his sights upon the small and already ruined world of Thule. Now, there's a guy named Thol, and there's a world named Thule, and this isn't to be confused with the moon of Jupiter named Thule that we talked about being destroyed in the Furious Abyss episode. This is a different Thule. While many of Triplex's Magi actually did side with the War Master, the Manipoles of Legio Victorum and the loyalist Tegmanta forces resisted. On the world of Nahren, Sevatar struck with the elite Terminators of the Atramentar, teleporting into the heart of the underground fortress, powering the world's orbital cannons. With the cannons then silenced, the traitors allied Legio Victorium landed in Cleansed House, while Sevatar captured the Archmagos of Thule, causing the remaining loyalist Magi of Galantia and Fall being the area we talked about there being a big space battle, by the way, to surrender to Horus. Konrad Kurz took the surrendered Archmagos of Thule and tortured him aboard the Nightfall after finding his petty praises and post-surrender flattery quite annoying.
This man is Kim Jong-un.
Yes.
This is some Night Lord shit.
There's a reason I accidentally pronounce his last name Cruz sometimes.
Yeah,
Scientology joke. No.
We like
the evil version of Batman, like Owlman or whatever from one of the alternate universes.
Owlman
is the actual evil.
Owlman is Owlman is he's reverse Batman. He's his parents were killed by cops, so he becomes a career criminal.
Yeah.
And
instead of being a cop.
Yes. So instead of his parents being killed by criminals and becoming basically a vigilante, his parents are killed by cops and becomes a very bad dude.
Or he could simply be the Joker
costume.
that laughs Also,
it's a dope costume.
I like
Owlman
his
is
sick,
dope.
like Space Godzilla looking boots and gloves.
Yeah, he does.
He's a cool
There
dude.
are some very Space Godzilla. I like that. There's some Space
Yeah,
Godzilla
he has
going on
big
here.
Space Godzilla vibes to me.
Big Space
So
Godzilla
Konrad
energy.
Kurz, though, like, is he is the grim darkest of grim. Like the Night Lords are just bad
He's the
dudes.
They are
Oh,
the edgiest of the edgelords.
He's such an edgelord. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope that
not the good
like
kind of edging that these kids are talking about these days.
no, not the edging
not-
and the gooning in Ohio.
There's no mogging. Yeah, he's
No mewing.
There's no sounding.
yeah. Konrad
Oh
Kurz
my
has
god!
Konrad Kurz has
You had to
zero
say
riz.
that.
Oh,
Sorry, Ryan.
oh.
This is not FetLife.
No, no.
I think I just won that entire conversation.
The kids are not skibbity about sounding, Ryan. Absolutely
No,
not.
sounding doesn't give you riz, Ryan.
If you want to know what sounding is, email us under the Hive of Madness at gmail.com. or join our
don't
growing
Google
and
it.
vibrant
Just don't
community on
Google it.
Discord.
Jesus Christ! We're trying to
Especially
bring
if you're
people
God.
into the community, Ryan.
I really like
those
this,
are
like-
valid players too.
Ryan has just alleviated me of the responsibility of ever having to check that email inbox. I appreciate you for that. Thank you. I will never volunteer for that job. Yeah. Like, hey, we need to check the inbox for questions. Like, Ryan, you got it.
You're gonna
You
be
got it.
fine. Yeah. Somebody like writes us a whole fanfic about pony play. Ryan, you can read that one. It's fine.
Oh, that'll get read on the podcast for everybody's enjoyment.
Okay.
Don't worry, one day we'll dig up the Sonic being impregnated by Trajan of the Custodes fanfic I wrote.
Oh no.
Is Shrek there?
The
Yes.
baby, that's the baby to give birth
brony
to.
stuff. I don't want to know about your brony infatuation.
Oh Jesus. Chac, I was I watched the show. I was a big fan of the show in 2011, 2012. I attended the inaugural BronyCon.
With the ball pit?
No, that was TanaCon.
Oh,
That was
that was
TanaCon.
a different con.
I
That was
was
a
there
different
because they were
Convention disaster.
gonna debut this My Little Pony fighting video game. My Little Pony Fighting is
Oh.
Magic.
I remember
Yeah.
hearing about that in the miasma of the indie video game world.
All you need to know is everything you've ever heard about jars and Rainbow Dash is 100% true.
I am not Googling that, and I have no idea. I have seen like one episode of My Little Pony, Rainbows or Magic.
I'll explain when you're older.
And you do not have to Google this right now.
So there was a
I-
time. Emmy has been on one of these episodes where
Yes, we ended up
Yeah.
going on like a 25-minute deep dive because
I accidentally Googled something as we were talking about
Yep,
it.
yep.
And it was some Purity Seal territory.
Oh.
I
But
remember.
I just want everybody to remember that friendship is magic, and magic is in fact heresy.
Heresy, yes. We've talked about the Tagamatha before. The Tagamatha are the sort of feudal levies for the Mechanicum. They're heavily robot. They have a lot of robots in them. They have sort of these feudal levies. If you read the books,
Oh, those are dope.
they talk about the Skitarii.
Mhm.
However, if you actually play 30K, if you play Horus Heresy and you play the Mechanicum, there are no Skitarii forces.
No.
Yeah,
There are only Tagamatha
They're
forces.
just starting to push Skitarii into HH now. Like
Hmm.
Yeah.
as we're recording this in the year of our Emperor M2.
Yeah.
In the millennium of our Emperor M2.
Okay, and
But I didn't know that, but up to recently, they were talking about, because you weren't even allowed to proxy Skitarii
Yeah.
back into 30K.
which
Even though it is in the books, like if you read the Mechanicum of Mars or whatever, the Horus Heresy book, they talk about Skitarii in the actual book, and there are Skitarii two of the main characters are Skitarii. R30 or whatever is a
I
Skitarii.
think one of the main reasons for that lore-wise is that the Forge worlds have Skitarii forces, but worlds that are just allied with the Mechanicum don't. I think that's the demarcate, and I could be wrong.
I don't know. I just know that you couldn't play them on the tabletop. However, I think that's okay because I think the Tagamothic forces
pretty cool.
are much cooler.
They're much cooler, yeah.
But yeah, there were a lot of giant robots and sort of tech thralls or feudal. They sort of have the vibe of the Solar Auxilia, except for the mechanics.
And it kind of feels like, and maybe this is just the impression I got, and jump in, guys, but it kind of feels like the way that they use the word feudal when they describe them, like the Magos essentially goes, we're going to need to go to war, go get the peasants. And literally somebody goes out and like rounds up these farmers and they're like, this is a lasgun. And they're like, oh, what?
Yeah, like
it reminds me of the Night Worlds. Like if you read Imperial Knights lore,
I think it's a little bit different. I think it's feudal in that
the structure is feudal, but the technology is
because you have multiple Magos. Is it
Magos?
You have multiple Magos on a tech on a Forge world, and each of those have their own feudal forces that are pledged to them, that they bring forward, and that's what they mean by like the Magos. A Magos is like a lord, and he has his feudal levy underneath
like
him.
the feudal system.
Yeah, they still might like
much like the Night Worlds.
Remember, this is Forge World, so they're not going out and grabbing farmers; they're grabbing
menials,
factory workers, lobotomizing them, and shoving a lasgun into their head with some tech, and going like, now you're going to go fight for the Omnissiah.
Hey, and if you make it through, you might become a Skitarii, right? You know?
Yeah,
you never know.
Maybe you can have a coupon to that Mezcaleria place.
Yeah, but those big robots that they have are seriously cool. And unfortunately, these are all Forge World models.
Yeah.
Come on down to Claire's in the Underhive.
Nothing in plastic.
Claire's of the Underhive. I'm going to write one for you, Ryan.
Lobotomies are free.
I was just thinking, you said Groupon for lobotomies and a Groupon for Rosies, and I thought you were going to say a Groupon for becoming a servitor. Like, if you buy a Groupon for yourself, you can make your friend a servitor too. I'd be like, why would you do that? But anyway.
It's BOGO.
The Emperor wants your brain.
And you can have
Cole's
cash.
Yeah, the rest of it.
Exactly. Cole's cash for your brain.
The Night Lords continued their slaughter across the Eastern Fringe, and discipline began to break down as the Night Haunter secluded himself at Triplex. So something that we haven't necessarily talked about is that Konrad is a bit of a manic depressive. Actually, yeah, he's a major of a manic depressive. So he goes through these cycles. Notably, on Shoal 3, 2 newer chapters of Night Lords, known as the Dark Eyes and the Boneless, battled one another, while other commanders abandoned greater strategy. Is it boneless? Did boneless get you?
Yes, because now I'm thinking of like chicken wings. I'm thinking of like
sort of like a flappy slap flight.
These are like chicken wings. They're like coated in like a teriyaki glaze. And they're available for half off on Tuesdays at Pizza Hut.
At Nostromo.
Like,
the original.
How can a Space Marine fight if you pull his bones out?
I got no bones.
I don't think the chapter is called the Boneless because they're boneless. I imagine the Boneless is called the Boneless because they leave their victims boneless.
But they're like sucking them out.
Like bone full because they've got all these extra bones?
Ryan, you full well know that the Boneless were previously known as the Rubber Arms, but that wasn't scary enough. So Konrad was like, "You're gonna be the Boneless."
Ooh!
Yeah. Oh my gosh! So while these two chapters were slap fighting each other, other commanders abandoned greater strategic objectives, forming war bands and taking to the stars to act independently. Basically, the Night Lords just decided that anarchy was the way to purge war or to pursue war in this area. Veteran commander Nacrid Thul, we're coming back to the Thuls, not the Thuls, the Thuls, however, exploited the terror of the Legion's actions to seize the last keystones of the region, the Forge World of Golgornda and the Hive World itself, named Thramas. So the Thramas Sector's primary Hive World is also named Thramas. This is a really, really big reoccurring trope in the Warhammer world. There's probably Thramas 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's probably in the Thramas system, and then the sector is named Thramas.
That's how we name things anyway.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I found a picture
of the boneless
here.
Is it a Stretch Armstrong?
Can you see that?
No,
nope.
Drew, look at your screen. There you go.
No, it's too bright. It's a wavy tube man. The joke is it's a wavy tube man.
It's a wavy tube man. So there's to go back to my favorite film and fantasy world that's ever been created by the amazing Jokes on You Rollings. Do you guys remember when they fuck up and try to heal Harry Potter's arm?
Yes, when he breaks his this is the second one, and he has to drink that like bone broth. Yeah,
that's what's in my head now. So Nacrid moved against these targets with a chapter and 3 cruisers, hoping to accept the surrender of each. So this is one of those things, like he's trying to capitalize on all of this like terror. This is a terrorism campaign. He's attempting to capitalize on the terrorism campaign and just roll up and be like, yo, dog, surrender. However, he found a formidable array of orbital defenses and a fortified cluster of hive cities that were defended by the Thramasi Night Watch Imperial Army regiments, along with several smaller expeditionary fleets and dry dock under the command of Regent Maven Kellen. Regent Maven Kellen. I like it. Who refused to surrender when a battered frigate of the Golgormond emerged over Thramas and blasted out its own refusal to surrender. The smaller Forge World had also refused the Night Lords and was now seeking to inspire its remaining allies in the region. Nacrid Thul committed his Night Lords and launched an assault directly onto the planet of Thramas, expecting this show of force would force them to surrender. They were met instead by the glares of hatred from the planet's regent and the ruling Senate. Then, shockingly, Captain General of the Night Watch, Arcturus Morhund, drew his pistol and fired directly into Thul's face. In the Senate, by the way. This all happens in the Senate. And then the Senate room erupted into combat as the Loyalist Imperial Army forces basically attacked all of the Night Lords who had just appeared in the middle. And I know it's getting a little confusing. It's the Night Watch and the Night Lords. If I mix those two up, sorry, we're trying here. There's a lot of darkness in this episode, if you know what I'm saying.
So edgy.
When the Night Lords get involved, yeah.
As this situation depreciated, the forces in the Senate were joined by mobs of angry citizens seeking vengeance against the Night Lords, who became then overwhelmed by sheer numbers, forcing them to retreat, while the boundly wounded Thul returned up into orbit. The Night Lords flotilla then came under the assault of Thramas' orbital defenses and docked warships. However, not all went to plan, as some, like the Visigoth-class battlecruiser Crimson Tyrant, instead chose to come to the aid of the traitors. This is another one of those cases where whether or not this battlecruiser, the Crimson Tyrant, was also a baddie, or whether or not they just were super confused and started to attack, we're not sure. And to answer your question, no, Thul did not die.
How did he not die? He was shot at point blank range in the face with a las.
Yeah, with a las gun.
How did he not die?
He's a space marine. He's a space marine captain.
Oh,
yeah. He's got one extra wound.
Yeah, he's got one.
He's got an extra wound, right?
Yeah.
Of
so
course.
What happens is when a las shot hits a command stud, it deflects off.
Oh, right. So he's able to use his invuln save at the. Okay, right.
He blocked it with his face. Okay.
Okay, fine. Suspension of disbelief.
He was more. I mean, essentially, think of. Here's a great example. the movie Elysium, where the dude takes the grenade to the face and then they rush him off, and because they get him to a med station fast enough, they're able to actually, enough of his brain survives that they're able to like rebuild him. It's
this
like
is
that.
like in Godzilla versus King Caesar, when Godzilla atomic breath Caesar, but Caesar's only one single kaiju power is anything that's shot directly into his eyes, he can deflect with lasers.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yes.
He's a terrible Godzilla monster.
I think this is more, so like Thul's face was like torn. So think of like a bullet entering the nasal cavity and like ripping the lower half of your face off. And you're mortally wounded. You are dying at that point.
Right.
And Thul is evacuated up to the Apothecaria, and the Apothecaria basically goes, if we don't get you medical attention within 30 minutes, you're dead, bro. Is like the level of wounded this guy was. So, but
okay, cool.
He's Arse face now, the character in Preacher who got the shotgun to the mouth.
Right. The Night Lords chose to act in spite, launching a salvo of biological weapons onto the surface of Thramas before abandoning their allies and withdrawing. The region then burned with uprisings and guerrilla actions by the Night Watch against other bands of Night Lords, and total war gripped the sector as the Legion countered with vicious punitive actions. But their superior combat ability was simply overwhelmed by the number of their foes. At Katesh Prime and Crucible, the Night Lords used waves of slaves like fodder to weaken the Night Watch defenses, while Thramas itself endured constant raids from Thul. Doesn't seem very kind of them.
That Thul being the Commander Thul, not the planet Thul.
Right, the man who was just shot in the face.
Yes. If you're taking notes at home.
For a short, bittersweet moment, it seemed as if the defenders of Thramas might be able to resist the Night Lords. Then Konrad Curze returned from Triplex. His counterattack was vicious and united the full force of his legion, as well as the traitor titans of the Legio Victorum and Legio Phasma. Sheol 3 lasted a week, its defenders choosing planetary suicide via Phosphex charges instead of facing what awaited them at the hands of the Night Lords. On Yelis, the Night Haunter himself took to the field, overwhelming the urban defenses of its hives. And in one of the largest Titan battles of the Heresy, Legio Victorum and Legio Phasma engaged with Golgorod's Legio Adamantus, Legio Atrox, and Legio Seveus at Bastions 11 and 9. Hundreds of Titans fought and died in these battles, with the traitors emerging victorious, despite the suicidal tendency of the Legio Adamantus. Outraged by the sector's defiance, the Night Lords cast aside Horus's orders to leave the Thramas intact, instead committing themselves to the annihilation and torment of whatever survivors may remain. On Kenrak, the local imperialist militia chose to slaughter their own populace, then let it suffer at the hands of the Night Lords. On Crucible, the Night Watch commander Mord found his solar auxilia vastly under strength due to constant raids, and he was forced to conscript and arm every citizen capable of holding a weapon. Only Bastion 19 was able to hold out for 6 months until only a handful of knights remained to resist the traitors. I have a question.
Okay.
What is this Phosphex charge thing?
So Phosphex grenades are essentially white phosphorus.
Okay.
So Phosphex weapons are essentially white phosphorus grenades, like in our modern military. So this is the type of stuff that can like burn through, like
just sort of think napalm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Except hotter.
It's like
brighter.
It's like thermite. It's just really nasty shit.
Yeah.
It's a mix of both the fuel and the oxidizer, so that you can't smother it. Right, that's the key thing.
Good lord, it's like the Amaterasu in Naruto.
Yeah,
exactly. The fire that doesn't go out.
And they were burn through.
Commonly used by destroyer squads.
Yeah.
So the legions that use destroyer squads, like the Dark Angels, were famous for using destroyer squads, and they would use these squads to depopulate planets without actually virus bombing.
Yeah.
Oh.
So in destroyer squads, not destroyer squads. There's another D word squad which I can't remember. Or it was It wasn't destroyer squads.
Just
there was
not Devastator.
Devastator squads were the ones
those are
that
the
would
new
come
ones.
in.
Those aren't the 30K.
There's
the 30K are the destroyer squads.
There's a 30K. There's a 30K squad type that used to go in with like mini nukes and stuff, specifically when they wanted to destroy the planet and set an example. Like we're gonna wasteland your planet.
From the, I forget what wing it is from the
Despoiler squads.
Oh, Despoiler. You're right.
Yeah.
Right. So like you are it's salting the earth kind of stuff, right?
They'd use like phosphex. They'd use rad
weapons,
rad projectors. They'd use all sorts.
And like even other space marines were like kind of like disgusted or wary or scared or whatever word you want to use of these guys. The Night Lord's terror campaign is so effective that these planets are willing to essentially commit suicide in order not to deal it's better to die by our hand than to live under whatever short month
Konrad.
You're going to give us.
Yeah.
That's a big yikes, my dude.
Yeah. This is Konrad is definitely the Todd McFarlane character of the Warhammer of the Horus Heresy of the Warhammer 40k universe. He's not the only one. There's a couple of them, but he's definitely up there. He's the spawn, the clown. What was the clown's name? Violator. He's got a lot of Spawn villain vibes going on all at once. So by 008.M31, it seemed as if the Thramas Crusade was all but won. Resistance was collapsing, and Triplex's vast industrial capacity was now churning out titans for the War Master. Then, at Triplex Galanta, 18 capital ships, 100 escorts, and smaller vessels bearing the icon of the winged sword arrived in orbit and reduced the defending traders to scrap. After clearing the board of Dark Mechanicum vessels, the Dark Angels ships engaged a squadron of Light Lords, heavy cruisers, and frigates at extreme range. The Loyalists used pinpoint-accurate lance fire to disable the Night Lord's ship Shadow of Justice before the Deathwing and Lion L. Johnson himself boarded the vessel. The ship was quickly captured, with the Lion dragging the commanding Night Lord into the depths of the Invincible Reason to experience his own levels of torture. His Firewing interrogators were able to break their captive's mind. The remaining 100 trader vessels in orbit did not intend to engage the Loyalists, and this proved to be their undoing. For the 100 Dark Angels capital ships then arrived over Triplex and annihilated everything else in their path. As the defending Mechanicum gun barges died, the last Night Lords abandoned their allies and instead mounted a concentrated attack on the Dark Angels battleship Undying Will before disappearing back into the warp. The Magi of Galantia's hopes for reinforcement were dashed when the Deathwing launched a mass assault upon the world. The Deathwing holding a beachhead within the forge halls of Galantia against cohorts of Thalax, spending their lives to allow their brethren to land and support. The Dark Angel's second wave consisted of the Dreadwing and the Order of the Shattered Spectre under Eschaton Marduk Cedrus, leading interremptors, leading interremptors and Nafaragi Terminators. Cendrus drew out the Mechanicum forces and forced them to commit themselves to a pitched battle against automaton of unknown and corrupted design alongside Harpax Artificia. The Dark Angels faced very, very stiff resistance. Then Lionel Johnson enacted the Icaros contingency, allowing for the ancient Exindio,
some Harry Potter
the
shit.
ancient Exindiano robots. Oh, fuck, there has to be a better way.
Exindio robotics.
Exindio.
Expecto Patronum. Exindio. Okay, so I'm doing it right. Yeah.
Allowing for the ancient Exindio robots to be unleashed from the Invincible Reason. These 12 immense battle automatons swept all opposition aside. So these robots...
Can we see those, by the way?
Exindios,
we visually have that on screen.
I'm trying to find
for those of you who go to our Patreon, you can see them as I look for them. But they're like special robots that only the Dark Angels had.
Oh, that's dope. I didn't know that the Dark Angels had their own special robots.
The Dark Angels are actually a pretty...
They're the most technologically advanced chapter. That's why they have all the plasma.
And they've got they've got some stuff that there's another Exindio that we talked about in a past episode that had to do with the Schism of Mars. And one of these robots did unimaginable damage to a knight household. They're just these weird, they've got some AI involved with them. They're pretty crazy. They're pretty nutso. And he had
adorable in its own way.
12 of them, 13 of them, 12 of them. They're interesting.
They're cute little guys.
Well, there's actually there is a mini.
There is an official mini. Well, there's a couple. Here he is.
Which don't look like those pictures.
This is somebody's kit bash of what the description in the Horus Heresy books look like.
Oh, that's cute.
But the original mini is...
What does he do? He passes the butter. Yeah, give me Cane Cup. Give me Roll Cup too.
It's this thing.
That's dope.
No, that's not it. Yeah, they had an old Forge World mini that has a really different look to what's actually described in the book. This is closer to what's described in the book. They've got
that kind of looks like the what is that thing called, the Mephitic Blight Hauler, that Death Guard mini. I don't know. It just has that vibe. It looks almost chaosy.
Yeah, the original.
That's because chaos is 30K shit.
I know.
Yeah, the original artwork is the black and white photo.
That's
you're right, Chac.
Cool.
There was an old Forge World one that looked more like, it kind of looked like Liberty Prime, oddly enough. It was kind of like a taller dude, bipedal robot looking dude.
Mm-hmm.
It was an ABC Warbot, for those of you who read 2008.
There you go. Oh yeah. Which would make sense because Games Workshop used to make product for 2000 AD before they lost the license.
We could do a whole show about the connection between 2000 AD and 40k.
Oh, Chac and I already did.
There you go. I could do a whole supplemental show. The Cursed Earth is just pre-Thunder Warrior Earth.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the depths of the Forge, Fengus, a massive multi-legged horror of brass and steel, confronted the Lion and his Exindio in a battle no mortal could hope to survive, and which claimed all but 7 of the Exindio and the Primarch's life himself. So everybody who went into this battle, only the Primarch and 7 of them survived. With victory secured, the Dark Angels used Phosphorex to purge the surviving Galantian Magi, who were now in hiding. Only the orbiting shipyards were left intact by the Loyalists. Next, the Lion struck at Fall, the largest and most heavily defended of the Triplex Worlds. However, many of the traitors instead chose to flee, leaving only a small group of renegades and secret loyalists behind. So by the time that the Dark Angels arrived, they found Fall already involved in a bloody civil war. The Loyalist Mechanicum elements eventually prevailed and gave the planet over to the Dark Angels. Following the fall of the Triplex, the Lion next moved on Shoal 3 and Yalis. The Night Lords and their slave armies were too few to defeat the Dark Angels, the traitors throwing their slave fodder at the Lion while the Night Lords themselves conducted harrying and delaying actions. The subjugation of these two worlds took about 2 months. Eventually, hope managed to return to the Thramas Sector, and Loyalist army regiments in hiding began to rejoin their brothers in the open. At Crucible, the Dark Angels relieved the siege to find Captain General Morda and a few battered survivors still holding out, but the majority of the neighboring Aegis sectors still remained in traitor hands. The Lion unleashed a second front of reinforcements to move through the sector, only to see themselves bogged down by traitors at Memlock and the vast expanse of the Heracleid Nebula. With fighting now spreading across 4 different sectors, the battle ground into a stalemate. Dark Angels were spread too thin to push their advantage without abandoning the worlds that they had liberated at their backs, while the Night Lords were spread too thin to push back at their loyalist brethren. As the Night Haunter fell into a mania once again, Sevator and Angrak Baratos sought to mitigate his often contradictory orders, holding back the Dark Angels through the constant guerrilla warfare and harrying actions they were able to commit. Seeking to turn the tide, Sevatar and Baratos also enacted secret agreements the Night Haunter had made with the based factions throughout the Eastern Fringe, known as the Midnight Treaties. Small scout craft were dispatched, winning new alliances such as the debased warriors of Turuk, the predator world of Ulan Hunda, the traitor White Scars Brotherhood of the Shattered Shield, the cannibal legions of Galbro, the battle psychers of Thex, and dozens of other abominations and aberrations to Imperial standards.
Just as a completely unrelated note, in Madison, Wisconsin, our goth BDSM club is called Crucible, and that's all I was able to think about when we were talking about it. Yeah.
I remember reading The Crucible in school.
Yeah, a little bit of a different vibe at Crucible nightclub.
There was a very, very, very short period of time, like a semester, where I entertained following my parents into the medical field, and I took biochem. So every time I see the word crucible, it like literally brings up chemistry stuff in my mind.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So to get into a little bit of what we just talked about before I turn this over to Emmy once again, Ulan Hunda was a moon and forge world that had been cut off from the Imperium sometime before the Heresy started, and as a matter of survival had embraced all sorts of twisted and dark technology, including a way to move through the warp on its own, and the world would then reappear out of the warp and consume entire planets to continue fueling its existence. So this was a planet that ate other planets.
It's motherfucking Unicron.
Right? Exactly. And then since they my 30k boys, the White Scars that we just mentioned are an example of Black Shields. While at this point, most of the White Scar Brotherhoods are loyalist and near Terra working with Dorn, obviously not all of them are. White Scars use Brotherhood as a term to kind of replace the idea of chapter. And the White Scars, even in 30k, unlike, where the White Scars, kind of like the Space Wolves is probably a better way to put it, were another of the legions that had like their entire own organization that they used. And those were like, a Brotherhood is essentially a motorcycle gang. If like you want to think about it, it's like a horse gang.
Yes.
Just they're riding motorcycles.
Hell yeah, brother. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. They're all loosely affiliated with one another, but there's like no real command structure. The command structure is based on combat ability, not on rank. The White Scars are cool.
Yeah, White Scars are cool.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. No.
I like the ponytails. The ponytails are fun.
The moon of Ulan Hunda sounds like the Beast Moon in the Beast Orc books.
Yeah. It's definitely something that comes up again or more often.
I've only read the first book of The Beast Arises, but spoiler alert, there is a moon that comes out and eats planets, comes out of the warp and eats planets.
It may be the same moon.
It might be.
Because Ulan Hunda does not die during the Heresy. It gets away.
Oh, that's no moon.
That's a space station.
Right.
Bolstered by these reinforcements, the Night Lords struck at Crucible and several other worlds with wanton cruelty. The Dark Angels responded using their lesser allies against the foe to disguise their true strength and drain their supplies. At Urdrick, the Night Lords cleared Dark Angels' minefields with their conscript militias, while on Kenro 9, the Night Lords' overseers waged on how long it would take the Dark Angels to slaughter the crude conscript armor sent against them. In contrast, on Cedrus, the White Scars Brotherhood of the Shattered Shield acted chivalrously, allowing the decimated loyalists to retreat with their wounded. Then the Night Haunter himself once again appeared, gathering the scattered Night Lords to his side and mustering some 100,000 legionnaires. The only Night Lord commander to not answer the muster was Nakrad Thol, his hatred fixed upon the Thramas alone. Also, he had just been shot in the face.
Yeah, he's pretty pissed about being shot in the face.
Yeah, he had to there was sort of a ramp up period again.
I'd be salty about that too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Thol was finally able to break Thramas with the arrival of the predator world of Ulan Hunda. In the final days of 008.M31, Kurz launched his attack across half a dozen worlds. 3 Night Lords chapters landed on Kenro using the data from previous attacks to precisely target the Dark Angel's defenses. the single defending Dark Angels chapter was overwhelmed and forced to call orbital strikes on their own position to keep the traitors at bay. At Cedrus, the Night Lord's battleship Tenebrous Will and its escorts drove off the Dark Angels fleet in orbit and enacted sustained bombardment, flattening all identified defenses. Landing in the aftermath, the Traitor Legion viciously mistreated the survivors in a manner that disturbed their White Scars allies. After the badly wounded, surviving Dark Angels commander was slain in single combat by a Night Lord's Praetor, only the intervention of the White Scars saved the Loyalist prisoners from being skinned alive.
Yeah, my boys is coming around because and this is one of those things that we talked about with Black Shields, where like sometimes they allied with the side that they allied with because they were the other Space Marines in the area.
Right.
And they're like, well, this is Horus's orders and Horus is warm. And then they start seeing what's happening and they're like, wait a minute. So Chac, I have a question for you here.
Yeah.
You had at one point an interest in doing Dark Angels 30K, correct?
Yeah.
This is all kind of like your bag then, right?
Yeah, it is. I looked into a lot of the 30K lore for Dark Angels, and a lot of the stuff that they talk about from 30K, I don't think most 40K players know about the history of the Dark Angels, because a lot of it, what happened is, so in 30K, they're basically sidelined.
Mhm.
The Dark Angels aren't around for a lot of the 30K.
They're here.
Yeah.
Dealing with this.
But they also almost got wiped out in the Rangdan Xenocides.
Yeah.
So they were a much smaller legion at this time. They went from one of the largest legions to one of the smallest. And they were specifically tasked with taking out Xenos cultures. That's what they did. That, and I've said before, so the you know how the Space Wolves are like the Emperors or the
Emperors,
attack
watchdogs,
or the watchdogs or whatever, and they're used to set an example. They're used to bring the so if the Emperor had said, "Bring me Magnus," right? I'm not saying what Horus changed that to.
Mm-hmm.
He sent the Space Wolves. If he'd really meant to destroy the Thousand Suns, he would have sent the Dark Angels.
Right.
Interesting.
Because Dark Angels make problems go away like they never happened.
Yeah, the Dark Angels are the CIA.
Space Wolves punish.
Right.
The Dark Angels make things not have happened.
I'm going to disappear your entire family.
Exactly.
They eradicate things.
So
that's what the Dark Angels were used at. They were used for to solve a problem.
Yeah.
In I don't want to use that in like relatively current historical ways, but pretty much.
Yeah. Well, and we in the first chunk of the Horus Heresy that we covered before we took our last little break in the last 4-part series, we touched on some of the Dark Angels that had been left behind to watch essentially into the void towards where the Rangda had come from.
Yeah.
And at that point, we had kind of said we had put a pin in the Rangda Xenocides, and the Rangda Xenocides are definitely something we need to come back to. However, that's going to be a really, really heavy tinfoil hat episode because there is very specifically not a lot of lore. But I really want to get into it because the Rangda Xenocides are one of the events where either the 2nd or the 11th, I can't remember when. It was the 2nd banished.
The 11th has never been mentioned in conjunction with basically anything.
Yeah. But the second may have been wiped
in conjunction with the Rangdan Xenocide.
And they may have been wiped out during them. Allegedly.
Or subsumed into the Ultramarines, or there are a bunch of tinfoil hat theories on what happened there.
And not only that, but my boys, the Ashen Claws, are wrapped up in a lot of the stuff surrounding that because the Ashen Claws, being 10th Company Raven Guard, were also involved in this because those were the Terran board Raven Guard that Corvus didn't fucking like.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have to get the Rangda Xenocides, Rangdan Xenocides. They're coming, guys. We don't know when. There'll be a pocket episode. There'll be one of the episodes that we talk about between major historical beats, but they're They're definitely coming because they're fun. They're not fun. None of this. All of this is interesting and a fun world to look at. None of this is a fun world to live in.
No. So basically, the Dark Angels were the Emperor's executioners, while the Space Wolves were like the
hounds,
the guard dog, the hounds,
the hunting dogs.
Yeah. So that's sort of the difference between the two. That's why you had the Hexagrammaton, and where you had like the World Killers and they were not. The Dark Angels are not a nice chapter in 30K.
And that's one of the reasons that they're not really well liked in 40K. But there's some other stuff. The Dark Angels are interesting. That's all I'm saying. Very interesting. The Night Lords quickly claimed 4 worlds, moving on without consolidating their holdings. Their second wave targeting Crucible with 6 chapters, a sub-legio of the Legio Victorum, and 50,000 conscripts. Defending was a Dark Angels armada, including 2 Gloriana-class battleships. As the fleets battled in orbit, the Night Lords began a combat drop on Crucible itself, throwing their allied militia against the heavy and well-constructed Dark Angels' defensive lines. Soon, the Night Lords and allied Titans landed and consolidated their beachhead. However, it was at this moment that Konrad Cruz broke from the main body, forcing Sevidor and his Atramentar to follow him and foiling the plan to divide the Dark Angels line. So Konrad has this idea, and then Wild Hair decides to abandon it. Kurz caused mass carnage in his rampage, but failed to secure whatever he was trying to do for the beachhead. And under the swords of the Deathwing, the Loyalists were able to make an ordered withdrawal while the Ordinatus engines targeted their traitor Titans.
By the way, people don't know the Deathwing are Terminators.
Yes, the Deathwing are Terminators. A lot of the special names that we bring up are all Terminators. Thank you, Chac.
Thank you.
While the Night Lords celebrated their apparent victory and began to bicker over who got the glories and who got the captives, the Lion appeared and unleashed his Exiado once more, targeting Cruz. The 7 monstrosities could not defeat Kurz, but did distract him, allowing the Lion and the Deathwing companies to fall upon the disorganized Night Lord commanders. Upon seeing this, the Dark Angels and the Night Watch Imperial Army abandoned their defenses and surged forward in the attack. So again, like essentially the Dark Angels that aren't the Deathwing Terminators and aren't the Lion are in a defensive position. They see this happening and they immediately run to help everybody. They're like, oh fuck, we're on the upper hand, boys, let's go. For a brief moment, the battle hung in the balance. Then the White Scars suddenly turned against their Night Lord allies. Overwhelmed, Kurz had to be dragged from the battlefield as he screamed for the Lion to face him in single combat. The retreat from the Crucible cost the Night Lords, with the Legion losing some 9,000 Astartes in their panicked retreat. The vengeful Dark Angels snapping at their heels. The Loyalists then launched a counterattack at Yerdek. How did you pronounce it? Yerdek. And counterattacked at Yerdek, sending 3 more companies to the surface and forcing the Night Lords to retreat. Loyalist allies from Tigris opened a new front, attacking the world of Verstun, while the Dark Angels attacked deep into the Thramas Sector. The Night Hunter returned to his citadel at Sungulsa, where he once again sank into a morose fugue. Meanwhile, the Lion and Horswain gathered 1,000 Deathwing veterans alongside the surviving White Scars and struck at Thramas itself. After a difficult warp journey in which multiple ships were lost, they arrived over Thramas to find it nearly destroyed by the predator world Ulan Huda. I'm glad my boys is coming back. They're here. What was that? What's that saying? They really had us in the first half.
Not gonna lie, they've really had us in the first half.
That's me reading all this all this White Scar stuff. I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, they really had me in the first half. I was like, oh no, an entire 1,000 of my boys is bad. But little by little, they're like, wait a minute, this ain't cool. And the thing that I really wonder is, were they black shields of convenience, or had they chosen to follow Horus until they saw what the Night Lords were doing? Was it literally something where they believed in Horus? They didn't necessarily know the chaos stuff, but they believed in Horus's like defiance of the Emperor, and then they saw what those who defied the Emperor were willing to do, and they're like, oh God,
I think
this
it's
is
that.
awful.
That
it's
was
the
my
second one?
interpretation. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like the first
they were supposed-
time I went to a G20 protest in Montreal in the 90s when I was in high school, and I was like, "Yeah, we're gonna shout at them and tell them globalization is bad." And then I got there, and a bunch of guys put on black masks and pulled out Molotov cocktails, and I was just like, "I didn't sign up for this." You know,
I am at the wrong protest,
Yeah.
sir.
yeah, like I'm here to
Well, the White
protest, but this
Scars
is
were
a little
supposed to be
much.
traitors.
Yeah.
No,
Well-
White Scars were supposed to follow Horus,
Well,
but
yeah. And I really want to get into this I really want to get into this
Not right
conversation right
now.
now. But yeah, the White Scars fell on the side of defying the Emperor after the Council of Nicaea. And Malkador worked with the Khans to basically say, like, wait for the right time to bring this up again, because it is coming. And
Mhm.
because of that, Horus thought, especially because Horus and Jakatai were really good friends, thought that they were a shoo-in. He thought that the White Scars were a shoo-in. But the White Scars ended up being too close to Terra, one, and two, Jakatai is kind of a good guy. But yeah, we got it. Okay, taking a step back.
Yeah.
Taking a step back.
We could talk
Sorry.
about that for a while.
Mm.
Nuggets contributing.
Those
Sorry,
are my
Nugget's got some opinions on this too.
What Nugget and I are the White Scars players.
Oh, she'd absolutely be a White Scars player if she understood 40k.
Yeah.
I got into a conversation with somebody on the Discord about this. We all have a legion that we really like. Like, if you've been playing long enough, you usually have a legion you really like. It may not be a legion that you're going to play, but you have a legion you really like. And mine are the White Scars. And we kind of have a tendency to see our favorite army, our favorite faction, our favorite legion as the good guys.
Oh yeah.
Like, I have a tendency to bias that the Eldari are the good guys. They're not.
Thousand
But,
Sons are
you
the
know,
good guys.
Well, of course, 100%.
Magnus did nothing wrong.
Magnus did nothing wrong. Excuse me, Erebus did nothing wrong. There's a Dark Angel Dreadnought on the video right now.
Oh, they're
I still
back
sort of
there.
like them. I'm just not a Space Marine player.
Mine's not finished.
But yeah, Steve the Clairvoyant and Brett the Wizard are back there. They're both my two exalted sorcerers of
Perfect.
yeah, they're my Scarab Occult Lord Terminators.
It's Steve the Clairvoyant and
Brett the Wizard.
Brett the Wizard.
Yeah.
So is Brett?
I still say if I do a Legion, it'll be Dark Angels,
Yeah.
probably.
But yeah, I have some pictures of them. I don't know. We've shown the patrons so many times.
Is Brett spelled BHRETTENTATTATTITT?
No,
I'm just wondering.
It's just like Brett
Right.
Favre, I guess.
Okay, cool. Okay. So it's not a Warhammer spelling where I'll try to
No,
pronounce
it's-
every syllable. Okay, got it.
No, see, that's the thing is when I paint live, I let my chat name the models as I finish them up. And they're like, Steve, Frank, this is Greg the Terminator. And I'm like, guys, they gotta have Warhammer names.
There's your boy, by
No,
the way.
I like Greg and Dave. I like Greg the Terminator.
Greg-
great.
This guy's now Greg the Terminator.
Well,
Yeah.
like they come up with backstories too. Like Greg is actually a single dad who's like working for the Thousand Sons. His heart isn't really in it, but like his kids need to go to soccer practice and
Right. I got to pay for
sports are
college
cheap.
somehow. Okay. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's Greg's just in it for the money, not the love.
So if you wanted to know what the mug of a man who's been shot and had his face rebuilt, Emmy?
Oh, parts of that look a little necrotized. Like
Yeah. I'm
some of
pretty
this
sure.
doesn't seem like the healing process is going well for him.
Yeah. I have a feeling that somebody else's face was put on top of it.
Oh yeah, there's like some
you know.
grafting that happened here. It's like
Right.
I don't know if you've ever seen it, and maybe this is like too graphic to show the patrons, but that French woman whose
No.
face was ripped
No.
off by a pit
By a
bull,
chimp.
and then
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about, right?
Don't
It's
Google that.
so graphic, but she had a face transplant, and
Similar to the lady who had her face ripped off by a chimpanzee.
yeah, exactly. So
Oh, there
do
you
not.
go. Yeah, that Doctor Who lady. Just
Yeah,
like that.
okay. You could show the Doctor Who thing, but they did a whole National Geographic article about the French woman who was attacked by a dog and had a face transplant. Look at that at your own risk, but it was a very interesting article. But holy shit, not having a face turns out
Raw deal.
as humans, right? Chac can attest to this. As an anthropologist, we're social creatures, so having a face is really important.
Yeah,
I will say this though: humans may be social animals, but the Night Lords, social they ain't.
I was going to say, unless you're Walton Joggins, and then you can get away with not having a face, and everybody loves you.
Oh my god, the Fallout ghoul?
Yep, the ghoul.
Yeah. It's because that man is pure charisma. He's just liquid charisma.
We'll have to bring it up.
He just doesn't have a nose, right? It's just like the cartilage is gone, and he's still hot. Like
it's Walton Goggins.
We're gonna talk about him soon, and yeah. Anyway, I'm putting a pin in that. We're coming back because I've got opinions. I got opinions about the ghoul as a character. All right. So the Invincible Reason immediately attacked and ripped apart a hole in the traitor lines and charged directly towards Ulan Huda while launching a boarding assault as the Dark Angels escort engaged the fleet of Nacrid Thol. Fighting through the hideous flesh drones and Lacrimosan thralls. What?
Stop eating carpet. No. No. Come here. I'm so sorry. She is.
It's okay.
She'll throw it up.
I got 2 dogs. We actually, my partner and I decided earlier today that our French bulldog Echo is Angron. If you took Angron and put it into a 32-pound puppy,
that makes sense. Angron does have little dog syndrome.
Yes, and Echo is it literally like the epitome of father. I crave violence. Sometimes she just constantly attacks stuff. So, fighting through the hideous flesh drones and Lacrimosan thralls, the Loyalists fought to the center of the moon and confronted its lord, a dark magos known as the Witch of Thramas. Consisting of organs held in a huge metal shell, she drove her thralls toward the Deathwing before personally leading Arax Automaton against the Lion. It was then that Zenji Khan discovered a series of generators deep beneath the surface of the moon and sent a message to their allies to evacuate. As the Dark Angels withdrew, the White Scars sacrificed themselves as payment for their earlier treachery to destroy these generators, disabling Ulan Huda. Even the Dark Angels' dreadnoughts could not bring down the Witch of Thramas, and it was the Lion's own sword that finally brought her low. As the Lion retreated with the last of his troops, the grievously wounded Moon then fled into the warp. Despite the Loyalists' victory at Thramas, the Night Lords still controlled wide swaths of the region and were able to retake Yalis. Both sides approached exhaustion as much of the Eastern Fridge was now in ruins. On Sagualsa, Kurz summoned his loyal commanders and issued forth a challenge to the Lion himself to come and face him, which the Dark Angels Primarch agreed to. The Dark Angels Primarch then arrived at the world with a squadron of his swiftest ships, having been unmolested by the Night Lord forces that they met along their way. Each brought only their honor guards. In the case of the Lion, it was Cornswain and Agelos, and Servitor and Shang accompanied the Night Haunter. And the meeting between the two Primarchs was initially incredibly conversational. Kurz hinted that he had foreseen the destruction of Caliban and the creation of the Fallen. And the conversation continued to stay peaceful until Kurz slandered the Lion, an insult that saw the Loyalist Primarch strike Konrad with a dishonorable blow. This is the Night Lords claiming to I can't believe you would dishonor me so much. Like, literally, like, look at the way y'all fight war. Seriously?
Yeah. It was like, hey, punching in the nuts isn't fair. Now let's go virus bomb planet.
Right? And because of this dishonorable blow, the meeting turned into an all-out brawl. Konrad eventually had the upper hand, getting into a position where he was strangling Johnson when Cornswain intervened, running a sword through Konrad's spine while Angelos called for reinforcements. Angelos, however, was then decapitated by Sevatar, and the situation continued to deteriorate. Reinforcements arrived for both legions, just to pull the brother Primarchs apart and drag them away, now both too weak to put up any continuation of the fight.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. He's got a sword through his spine.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah. And the
I
lion
get
was
their
almost
Space
strangled.
Marines, but like, holy shit, yeah. You know, I think a decapitation typically does escalate things.
I heard you chuckle. You're over there like, well, that escalated quickly.
A decapitation. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd do it.
Yeah.
There it is.
And then the delegate from the Night Lords camp proceeded to de-escalate the situation through negotiation, starting with a prompt decapitation. Like, man,
you guys all know who Run the Jewels are, right?
I do.
Who?
There's a band called Run the Jewels. They have a song that's literally like the music video for the song is essentially a Senate meeting that depreciates into an all-out brawl.
Oh,
down to the point of like one of the guys using the American flag to beat somebody who's laying on the floor trying to defend themselves. Like, it's a great music video. I can't remember the name of the song for the life of me right now. But when I was writing the notes about how the Night Lords just appeared in the Senate and were like, surrender, and the like Senate was like, fuck you, and started a big brawl, I was just like, that's this music video. Because it didn't go, that's an interesting point, Mr. Night Lord. Allow us to respond. It was literally like the Senate was like flipping tables and throwing chairs immediately.
Counterpoint, extreme violence.
Yes. Allow me to respond by shooting you in the face, sir.
Exactly. The Senate, and the Galactic Senate from Naboo could never.
Yeah. So I believe they call that a Bangkok filibuster.
What was the line from the first movie? We had to resort to aggressive negotiations or whatever it is.
Exactly.
What is that? Oh, that's when you negotiate with the lightsaber.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The negotiations were short. Good stuff.
Exactly.
They did try to gas them, to be fair.
Yeah, they
That's
did.
True.
But they had those special Jedi rebreathers.
And their cool Jedi pocket knives.
I like those cool Jedi pocket knives.
Mm-hmm.
As the dust settled after Sagwalsa, the Night Lords scattered in response to loyalist ranks swelling from newly raised Nightwash regiments on Thramas. At Memlock, Night Lords under Arik Barbados defended against the Dark Angels and Nightwatch for 7 weeks, falling only when the Lion himself arrived with 1,000 Deathwing. Anric died bravely, scratching the Lion's armor before falling. The remaining Night Lords withdrew while they enacted a scorched earth policy, looting and burning all in their path. The Lion countered with a grim policy of his own, sending small squadrons of ships to burn any planet that was in danger of being looted by the retreating Night Lords. Then, the Dark Angel's Primarch and 30,000 of his warriors mysteriously retreated, allowing the Night Lords to make limited gains. At Thramas, where Thol once again launched an attack with 10,000 of his men, initially recapturing most of the world save the Regent's Palace. Dark Angel's reinforcements led by Marduk Cedrus arrived and unleashed a vicious and indiscriminate orbital phosphex bombardment. Thol was among the few survivors and died in battle against Cedrus and his Dreadwing when the Dark Angel's Primarch once again returned. In his absence, the Lion had gone to Perditus to acquire an ancient artifact that gave him the key to victory. Gathering the might of his legion about him and leaving the wider war to the Night Watch, the Lion waited for the perfect moment to strike. Stage 2 of his plan was to provide the lords of Golgorod with the location of the remnants of the traitor Legio Victorum, deliberately provoking them to attack their hated foe. This provoked a hasty assault by the Magi of the Golgorod, which created a sudden gap in the Loyalist lines, something the Lion knew the Night Lords couldn't resist. It was here at Sheol 9 the decisive battle of the war would be waged.
So I've got a question for you, Chac.
Mm-hmm.
The Dreadwing, are they a specialized unit of the Deathwing?
No.
No. They're not Terminators?
No.
Okay. I'm glad I asked.
I'm going to make this, and I don't remember what each of the 6 are,
okay.
I'm going to simplify this down. So the Dark Angels are another one of those chapters whose setup is a little bit different, although they do have companies like every other Space Marine Legion.
Okay.
Members of each of the companies belong to one of 6 groups and it's called the Hexagrammaton.
Okay.
Hexa 6 groups.
Okay.
And you have like the Dreadwing, you've got the Deathwing,
The Fire
6
Wing.
wings.
Yeah. Okay.
And they're like
West Wing.
one is so the I think they don't make sense. Like the Dreadwing is not the Despoilers. That's a different one. But like one does tanks.
Right.
One is veterans and Terminators. That's the Deathwing.
Right. And the Fire Wing are the like medical guys, because they're always I'm assuming, because they're always the ones that are involved with like interrogations and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming
they're not like medical. They're intelligence, I think.
Got it. Okay. Got it. Okay.
Which one is the Buffalo Wild Wing?
But that's one of the reasons why I like moving towards 40k, only like the Deathwing and one other have really survived into the current structure. So now the Deathwing is the first company.
It's the first company Terminators.
Terminators and veterans. So also Deathwing can be some of the other veteran units. But they used to be spread out throughout the entire Legion. So they were they're almost like Brotherhood Lodges, but really what they were specialists, right? Like one was a specialist in armored warfare. So they're the guys that drove all the tanks.
Got it. Okay.
And so that has sort of survived as like the 9th company.
Okay.
Or the 8th company of the Dark Angels.
I vaguely remember in some old edition that the Dreadwing was the name of like the skimmer specialists, like bikers. And
I think they the Dreadwing were the like the fast attack.
That would make sense because the Dreadwing and the White Scars work together.
I like their cool hats, like the hat wings on the.
Oh, and
so there are these 6 specialized units.
Yeah, and this is the old Deathwing paint scheme. This is the 30K
That's really
Deathwing
cool. I've always really liked the vibe of the Dark Angels.
This was what's the Space Hulk? This is the pre-Space Hulk Deathwing painting scheme.
Yeah.
Sort
stressful.
The post one is all the white stuff.
The shields are
and the feathers
sick. Yeah, and the feathers are super cool. Like I've always really enjoyed the Dark Angel vibe. Immaculate.
That's because they were native for a very short period of time. They were Native Americans.
When we cover the Lion and we cover the Legion itself in its Legion episode, we'll talk about.
That makes sense.
We'll get into all of it.
That was a short story that came out with Space Hulk.
Yeah,
they were Native Americans.
So you guys might wonder why the Lion disappeared and where he went. So he went and found an object called the Tucholka. They actually literally describe it as an old one's Deus Ex Machina device. But yeah, so
this sounds like some Aztec shit right here.
Yeah, he found the how did you pronounce that?
The Tucholka.
The Tucholka. This was an object that he battled the Death Guard Callus Typhon to secure. It was an ancient sentient device, most likely of Old One origins, that could be used to make extremely precise warp jumps. This device used the corpse to speak with others. In this case, so this is an AI device. In this case, when it was conversing with the Lion, it was using the decaying corpse of a child.
Jesus Christ! This is so GW though. Like, we've got a device. It jumps through space, but we can only it can only communicate through dead children.
So the device was actually part of a triumvirate of similar entities. The other two being the Ouroboros and the Plague Heart. And if all of them were combined together, they were capable of creating a rift in time and space. So not only could it make warp jumps, but it could time travel. And when they say incredibly precise warp jumps, we're talking about like, I really want to put a pool in that guy's backyard. Suddenly pool. Like it's that sort of thing. Like I want to put my ships in the middle. I want to put my battle barge inside of that battle barge and see what happens.
Oh,
that sort of warp jump stuff.
Yeah, that's
it would like
There's a 40k pickup line here, like, "Hey babe, are you the Tukulka? Because I want to put my,
I want to use my mechadendrite snakes to use your child's corpse to this is not
exactly.
This is why I don't get dates at bars.
I gotta workshop this, but there's massive potential here about the precise placement of certain foreign bodies inside of other ones using a magic device.
You're like, I need to workshop this here, and I'm like, I don't know how the rest of the joke goes, but the punchline is your mother's a whore, Trebek. From all the celebrity Jeopardy stuff on Saturday Night Live.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
So then I use the T'Chulka to put my Thunderhawk in her Arx Mechanicum, if you know what I mean.
No, I don't.
Wait, what?
Sir, you just used words. It's like when somebody asks you about a particular movie and you're like, it was a film. And they're like, a good one or a bad one? That's all I'm committing to. It was, in fact, a film. Like, sir, you just used words. Thank you very much.
Was it good or bad? Yes.
It was 7 out of 5. The Night Lords took the bait, and their fleet poured into the gap left by the sudden movement of the Golgorond forces. Meanwhile, some 300 Dark Angels capital ships were able to utilize the Chachulcha. That's what I'm going with. That's not, Emmy is much nicer at saying it, but that's what I'm going with. To suddenly appear amidst the smaller Night Lords fleet. The 200 Night Lords capital ships and their 600 support vessels were caught completely unprepared and shredded, with many of their ships still in anchor at Shoal 9. In a cold and dispassionate slaughter, the Dark Angels used their relic ships to launch pinpoint-accurate fire at long range, wiping out the Night Lords' vessels that couldn't flee. Those ships, in turn, threw themselves at the Loyalists, dividing themselves into smaller formations to try and avoid massed fire. The Dark Angels' line split but did not break, and of the 100 trader vessels that made the charge, only 50 reached the Loyalist lines. Then they chose to flee rather than to try their futile close-range attack, and the Dark Angels let them leave, instead moving on to the ships that still remained above Shoal 9. Among them was the flagship of the Night Lord's fleet, the Nightfall. The battle that followed was chaotic, and it was discovered that Konrad Kurz was in his fortress on the surface of Shoal 9, to which the Dark Angels launched a landing assault. For 2 hours, the traitors held their ground, losing another 25% of their entire Legion force. And then the Lion was able to meet Kurz in combat once more. This time, Kurz was badly wounded and left comatose. As above in the void, the Dark Angels' fire wing launched a boarding assault upon the Nightfall. Then in a desperate gambit, the Night Lord's vessel, Feral Heart, detonated its own reactors, its massive explosion tearing a gap in the Dark Angels' lines, buying time for the Nightfall and a small amount of other surviving trader ships to escape into the warp. Though the Night Lords managed to escape, Kurz was left wounded and comatose, so it fell to Sevator to take command of his breaking legion. He reorganized them under a second Cryptera. Traditionally, this was Cruz's inner circle of advisors, much like the Mornafall under Horus and a couple of the other examples that we've touched in the past. And they would serve until Cruz's recovery. Debates between the Night Lords captains arose over what should be done, which resulted in Sevator purging several rivals such as Captain Melithos Koln and Sel Herrick. Reaffirming his command of the Legion, Sevator gathered his remaining forces at the Star Katesh, and once again they were attacked by the Dark Angels. Sevator led a desperate counterattack that included boarding operations by the Atramentar against the Dark Angels' fleet. Just as the Night Lords' counteroffensive was all but about to fail, a recovered Kurz appeared once more into the fray and met with the Lion aboard the Dark Angels' ship Invincible Reason. After a brief duel, Kurz was able to use this distraction to organize a retreat and flee once again. However, this retreat left some of his warriors, Sevator included, behind aboard the Dark Angel's ship to be captured. Following this clash, the Night Lords scattered into raiding parties. These groups pillaged and terrorized the Imperium for the remainder of the war, while some, at least, did join with Horus on his final drive towards Terra. This protracted war left the Thramas Sector and its adjoining regions devastated, with the Lion in a melancholic state as he considered the campaign neither a victory nor a defeat. Pledging to save the Imperium, the Lion next made for Ultramar, where there were rumors of world eaters and word bearers besetting the realm of Reboot Gilliman. And it is here, with the Dark Angels on their way to the Imperium Segendus, that we will leave you until next time.
And I just want to finish up, because we've been talking about the Dark Angels the next time. Deathwing are Terminators.
Okay.
Veteran Terminators. Okay. Ravenwing are the anti-grav, the skimmer.
It was Ravenwing. Okay.
Ravenwing.
That's cool armor.
Dreadwing, the specialty of the Dreadwing was total warfare using the most sinister of weapons. The elected voted lieutenant of this wing, bearing the title of Dreadbringer, commanded the destroyer squads. It is destroyer squads. I was right, not the spoiler.
So Dreadwing are the destroyer squads?
Yeah, supported by the types of units to bring total annihilation of a foe on a battlefield.
Okay, so hold on. So are destroyer squads the guys that use the nuke weapons too? Okay,
yeah, they are.
So I'm conflating.
That's the 30K.
I'm
the
conflating.
Despoiler and all is 40K. Destroyer squads are 30K. They're the guys that use the rad projectors and all.
Right. Okay, got it. Okay.
Firewing are like the special forces. They go in and decapitate the enemy forces. They take out the command structure. They do that. They're the smallest.
They torture you until you give up all the goodies.
Yeah, right. Iron Wing is the tanks.
Okay.
And then Storm Wing is basically everyone else. That's the majority of the line infantry and artillery units.
Okay.
So that's how they were split up. But those were within companies. So you had a Dark Angels company. It could have various members of the 6 wings within that company. Like, you're not going to deploy a company without its tanks. You're not going to deploy a company without its skimmers. They were built around that.
And you kind of likened it a little bit to the warrior lodges, but it's a little bit more like the brotherhoods in the White Scar.
Right. Yeah, it's more like it's not the mystic, but yeah, it's more like the brotherhoods.
Okay.
So within a company, you could have these people that group together, and even within smaller units within the company, you could have these mixed units from the different. They called them protocols, but they were. And by the way, they were designed by these were put forth by the Emperor. This was not like. They didn't come up with these on their own. The Emperor said, this is how the Dark Angels are going to be organized.
Probably how they were organized when they were but before they found
Taliban. No, this goes back to the
Unification
Great
Wars.
Crusade and the Unification Wars, because the Dark Angels were one of the few they were the only space.
They were the first. Yeah,
they were the first Space Marine Legion, and they fought in the Unification Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the most of them fought in the Unification Wars in some way, shape, or form, but the Dark Angels were the ones that fought the most in the Unification Wars. The Dark Angels were kind of like the first. The Dark Angels were the prototype, essentially, after the Thunder Warriors.
This is circle. So they were part of the 6 hosts of the Angels of Death.
Yeah,
and that's what the 6 hosts were.
Okay. And when the Thunder Warrior and when the Custodes turned on the Thunder Warriors on Mount Ararat, the Dark Angels were there too. The Dark Angels were part of that purging action.
So it says that the 6 hosts of the Angels of Death were created before the Legion was created. Yeah. They pre-existed the Legion.
Yeah, because at the beginning of the Astartes program, there weren't legions. There were just essentially companies, and then the companies were split into legions as the Emperor realized what he needed during different battles of the Unification War. For instance, the Imperial Heralds, who later became the Word Bearers, were used to break the fortress of Antarctica. They were the ones that they were created and sent down to break the techno-barbarians of the Antarctic.
Yeah, so basically,
fortress.
Before there were legions at all, and the legions end up sort of specializing, like White Scars were basically like fast attack, and the Night Lords were douches. And
I was going to say this is important because the Emperor essentially assigned to the Night Lords the most horrific thing, which is that like their job is basically psychological warfare in the sense that like. Their job is to go in and do the most horrific things to break people, right? Because they've got that Vlad the Impaler thing. It's that logic, right? Like, well, if you have like limited numbers, I don't know, flay a bunch of them alive and like they won't fight back so much, you know.
But there's two ways you can do it, and one of the ways is you can do the specifically from the Disney movies, you can do the Davy Jones thing where you leave one person alive to spread the tale, and everybody else, one of the crew, member of the ship or whatever the thing is. So that's one way to do it. Or the other way you can do it is you can flay an entire population alive. And the way that broke down, to kind of back up what Drew's point is that was the fact that Konrad Cruz's planet is essentially just Batman's childhood. Like,
no, it's Gotham.
Nostromo is bad.
It's Gotham. Yeah,
it's Gotham. The entire planet is Gotham.
I have with the Night Lords and why I make fun of them is sort of how it's come out with the players that choose to follow them, and how
like
people
Mullins
that choose.
So edgy.
Who painted Sevatar for one of the
well, I'm not necessarily calling out Mullins. I'm calling out the 13-year-olds that think it's cool to play the skin off of people, and that's so edgy. I think I have a problem with people who identify too much with a fictitious bad Space Marine Legion.
Yeah, I understand that. It's just sometimes it just feels edgy for the sake of edge.
You have a problem with people who identify too much with the fictitious Chaos Marine Legion. That's
Drew's got a Magic the Gathering guild symbol tattoo.
Unfortunate.
It's
I have the Black Legion's fucking brand on my forearm.
Yeah, but Black Legion is like Walmart evil.
we're the vanilla.
I don't know, man.
They're like the blandest. They're like just like, oh yeah, we follow everybody. We got good deals,
Yeah, but Sam Walton is like a genuinely evil person. That
was the other thing. And they rule the marketplace.
I can't argue.
If you're going to be generic evil chaos, you might as well go with the ones that are going to rule everything.
That's right.
Sort of like the Night Lords are like Musk, whereas the Black Legion is Walmart. So that's the difference.
The Night Lords are 9 heads in a duffel bag left at a border crossing. They're not like
right. Elon Musk.
Like the Emperor, when he was handing out, merit badges to the different legions to decide what they were going to do, and he was like, "And you guys get I don't know, the mutilation and psychological terror merit badge. What could go wrong there? Like, surely."
You look at Legions, you go like, you're going to build sandcastles, you're going to kick them over, you're going to play evil Batman, you're going to ride bikes, you're
going to be a vampire, you're going to like volcanoes.
I just want to say, I'm pretty sure that the merit badge that the Night Lords got was the taxidermy merit badge, and it all went downhill from there.
Yeah.
Did you say tax attorney or taxidermy? Because
taxidermy, not tax attorney.
I was gonna say that's the ultras.
Erebus definitely got the CPA merit badge at some point.
The salamanders are just Pokemon collectors that started out with Charizard as a basic, and
that's true.
What's his name is the gym leader,
and Trazen the Infinite is Ash Ketchum.
Yeah, Vulcan is the gym leader.
Trazen the Infinite's Professor Oak, because he's the one who's like super emotionally detached, kind of daddy,
and he always knows the Pokemon that's needed to save the day.
Yeah, and whoever's mom it is, he's banging them.
Hey, we all know that he has the original masters of the Poke Rap, the entire 150 Pokemon, like the full song. Trazen's got the original recording masters in his collection.
100%.
He's got it memorized.
Well, yeah, he plays it on a loop. He's just like, gotta catch them all,
every day.
Yeah.
If you guys want more hot takes like this, or if you have any questions about the show, you can get into contact with us through email at underthehiveofmadness@gmail.com. Make sure that all of your brony fan fiction is specifically addressed to Drew because he volunteered earlier in the episode to read all of it.
So one of the best way to contact us directly is just put one of our names in the subject line of the email.
Yeah.
So if you want to ask me about something, put Chac in the subject line with maybe what your question is, and then ask your question in the main field, and we'll get them distributed out so we each get email that's coming to us.
I mean, if you want to ask, like, if you want us to do a special episode where I break down like the effect of the crime rate that the various tactics that the Night Lords would have on Nostromo.
From like a criminology perspective?
From a criminology perspective, I can also share that too.
Yeah. Absolutely.
There's definitely, and Emmy and I got into this a little bit with Marathi, but there should be at some point an armchair psychology session where we address the
because
specific
Marathi
traumas of every Primarch.
Mommy issues
incarnate.
Why is there not a Marathi, and what are the two of them mini? Like
Anarion?
Yes, isn't like one the mother and one's the kid, and they
Malekith.
Malekith. There is a Malekith
part with a kiss.
Very much. There's
I don't know. I just don't feel like Games Workshop is like, I feel like even the main. I feel like even the mainstream media would be like, hold on a minute, guys.
There's definitely some son, I'm stuck in the washing machine going on.
I was about to say that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Games Workshop struggles with whether or not they can commit to having nipples in their miniatures.
Yeah.
They can have one.
Yeah.
You can have one party boob.
Just the one.
You can have one party boob.
Marathi's got the one titty out on her horse.
Do you remember like the
and she fucks the horse.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Go listen to our Marathi episode, Drew.
I was in the room when you were recording it.
I'm like,
for an hour and a half.
It's an hour and a half of like, oh yeah, and there's the horse. See, she's on the horse in this model. Did you know she fucked the horse? It's a whole thing. It's a great episode, guys. If you haven't seen it, highly recommend it.
By the way, we do a show called Under the Realms of Madness where we talk about fantasy lore as well. But Emmy,
that's not specifically a horse fucking podcast. That's not a horse fucking spinoff.
No.
We are not doing that. No.
Okay.
No.
We're just
that's on the books right after the sound.
That's illegal in at least 34 countries.
Podcast. Ryan and Drew's hot takes about punk music. No, Ryan, Chac, and Drew's hot takes about fucking. I'm sorry, Emmy. How can people connect with us other than email?
Oh, you can find us. Ryan, get it out. Let it out.
The sounding of silence coming to your favorite podcast.
Hello, darkness, mild.
Sorry. Oh my God.
Just get it out, man. Just get it out.
I'm sorry, Drew. I'm sorry, Chac.
Just read the copy, Emmy. Just read the copy.
I'm gonna read the copy. We just need to. Okay, we're centering, cleansing breath. All right. Find us on Discord and join the conversation about existing lore, world building, gaming in general, and much more. You can also find the show on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Check out our website underthehiveofmadness.com. Check out our link tree to find all sorts of links to keep up with everyone in the cast hobby progress and internet meanderings. Links and spelling are in the show notes.
Help the podcast grow by liking and reviewing us wherever you get your podcast fix. Our home is Spotify, but you can also find us on Audible, Apple Podcasts, CastBox, iHeartRadio, Radio Public, formerly on Google Podcasts, but no more, and others. Support us through Patreon at www.patreon.com/underthehiveofmadness. Join awesome people like Stowers, Thorfinn, and Seven Gears for access to extra content and a chance to snag some cool merch in our monthly giveaway.
And what an opening game for the Rad Habit Renegades, claiming a win 16-2 over last season's Glacial Cup winners. And this first career win and game win against her old team has to feel good for Captain Mystique Molly, but bittersweet for her old team and rivals, the Ratcatchers.
And what a blood-splattered start to the season, Gabo, with the first kill going to the rookie Renegades brawler, Kurgosh. The Ogren Brawler weighs in at just under 1,200 pounds of Frosthollow born and bred muscle. Arconia just makes him meaner.
And remember, let your light shine with Cordius Plutonium in your corner when you need those nighttime glow globes.
No, promoting the sale of plutonium for any purpose other than legitimate scientific or industrial use is highly unethical and illegal. This jingle is purely fictional and should not be taken seriously.
Just in case.
I'm so glad.
We're worried. And we're your number one source for all things Murder Ball, 665.66 UHMR Chemrat Radio. Reminding all of you Chemrats, Hive Mice, and Sump Ghoulies to keep those dials fixed. Right here. Same ratty station for a dose of the same ratty-ass attitude.
In the Underhive's gloom, where shadows dance, four-armed emperors in a sinister trance. Their eyes gleam with dread, their claws extend. In the dark embrace, all hope suspend.
Just as a aside, don't eat plutonium.
Sometimes I take a little bit of the plutonium. You put it in a little spray bottle, a little hot water. You shake it up. You squirt it on,
like Windex.
Yeah.
It helps to get those skull fragments off the linoleum.
It's the only solvent that will take out Amble. So. Yeah.
Remember, kiddies, don't loot the corpses.
Yep.
Wait, what if the corpses have plutonium? Can we loot them then?
Yeah, I mean, that's
just bring me their teeth.
As long as we use that device and we talk to them and make sure it's cool.
It's a legitimate industrial use.
All right, guys, have a good night.
All right. Good night.